stood at the edge of her decision. The moment she had been waiting for was close. Her closest friend was beside her, speaking softly, asking if she was sure she still wanted to go through with it. He answered with determination, her voice steady, but inside she felt a small unease. Something in her friend's eyes did not feel right.
What is it?
She stopped and asked her what was going on. At that instant, the truth broke through. She had been betrayed. The person she trusted most had given her away. Fear and shock clashed inside her as she realized she was no longer hidden. Suddenly, police rushed toward her, shouting and surrounding her. She tried to escape, running through the streets with her heart pounding, but the chase was short. They caught her, dragging her down, and her mission crumbled before her eyes. The world began to tear apart when aliens came to Earth seeking refuge after losing their own planet. Though they showed no hostility, world governments responded harshly, fearing future domination. Among the most tragic fates were the Oians, driven from their world by disaster. They came in peace, speaking gently and asking only to survive. Yet humanity saw them as a threat. Fear turned into law, and law into violence. Settlements burned, families disappeared, and the Oians became the very symbol of exile.
Another pro-Oian human terrorist was arrested today and...
Meanwhile, far from Earth, on a silent and empty planet, one man lived alone. His name was Theodore. Once, long ago, he had been a schoolteacher. That life was gone now. He was a prisoner, sent away for a crime he could never undo, exiled to this barren world where no one came and no one left. His sentence was not measured in years, but in solitude, condemned to spend the rest of his days in endless labor.
Visiting Europa, we could see the icy surface, maybe find news.
Each morning, the machines woke him and sent him back into the mines, where he chipped away at the rock, pulling out the rare minerals the colony demanded. The machines tracked his every move, setting the pace of his routine, leaving him no room for choice. Days blurred into one another until they lost all meaning. Nights stretched on without comfort or rest, only silence pressing against him. In time, the hours and weeks dissolved, and time itself seemed to lose its shape.
She didn't love you. Good thoughts. Only good thoughts, only good thoughts.
Penal colonies like this were reserved for the worst offenders, like traitors, murderers, and terrorists. Theodore did not think of himself in those terms. He no longer knew what he believed about his own crime. The record was unclear and his mind was fading. He had been here too long, though he could not say how long. His body weakened, his thoughts broke apart, and his memories slipped away. He had only one companion, a generative TV system designed to stabilize prisoners. It created shows based on memory and desire. Theodore used it to bring back his wife, Mona. He recreated her laugh, her touch, and the way she had smiled at him when they were young. He made a soap opera starring the two of them, living in a dream of love. It was beautiful, but also painful. He had no choice but to entertain himself using this device, as it was the only thing keeping him motivated to live another day.
Mona, Theo.
No one thinks about you. You are forgotten.
Outside, the planet was not empty. A strange, shifting cloud of gas drifted across the plains. It was alive, or something like it. It could read thoughts and project them back in voices and whispers. Secrets could not be kept from it. The voices could break a man. Theodore feared it more than death itself. He often writes in his journal to his wife, whom he will never get the chance to see again because of his life sentence. One day, while still working in the mines, he began to feel weaker than usual. At first, it was a subtle shortness of breath, a heaviness in his limbs, but soon the symptoms grew sharper, gnawing at him from within. Each day left him more drained than the last, and a quiet dread settled over him as he realized his time might be running out.
Always beyond.
Then came the signal from his biomonitor, the cold confirmation that he was terminally ill with only a short time left. He knew what that meant. The facility would be watching, waiting, even eager for his death. Refusing to give them that satisfaction, he tore the device from his body and carried it out into the barren ground. With trembling hands, he buried the biomonitor beneath the soil, as if hiding both his fate and the facility's hold over him. The system registered his silence and believed him dead, so the colony was quickly assigned a new prisoner to replace him. From a distance, Theo watched the pod descend, its metal shell cutting through the sky before landing with a heavy thud. He kept to the shadows, cautious, his body still frail from sickness, yet curiosity pulled at him. Slowly, he moved closer and circled the pod, inspecting it from the outside, trying to glimpse what kind of person had been cast into this forsaken place. The new prisoner was named Nia. She appeared young, no more than in her mid-20s, her expression guarded as she stepped out into the open. Silent and alert, she lifted her gaze to the red sky and the endless stretch of barren land. She quickly pieced together the truth that the previous prisoner had survived. That realization set her on edge. Knowledge like that was dangerous, too dangerous to ignore. If he were alive, he could become a threat, someone who might expose her weakness before she found her footing. A hard thought settled into her mind. She would kill him before he had the chance to endanger her.
Take care of what? Killing him.
Theodore overheard her plan and lived in dread. He simply cannot sit and wait for her to assassinate him. One night, he crept into her pod. His hand shook as he stood over her bed, but he did not kill her. He took her journal instead, clutching it like proof that he still had choices. He slipped away into the dark.
Shoot, come on. Shit, what do I do? What do I do?
He went to his pod and tried to read it, but it was written in the Oian language. Nia had been awake when Theodore sneaked inside the pod. She saw what he did and what he didn't do. She realized that the man could have easily killed her, but he chose not to. The next day, they meet at the mining site but ignore each other. After returning to the pod, Nia learns that her journal is gone and that Theodore took it, so she walks into his pod violently, retrieves her journal and spares him, as he didn't show any interest in killing her the previous night.
I don't know.
The journal, where is it?
A fragile truce began, unspoken but real. Theodore is glad with the idea of him not being alone anymore, even if it means minimal interaction.
Don't come near my ship again, or I will hurt you.
I may not have to be alone anymore.
Theodore longed for company, so he went to Nia's pod to apologize. He also invited her to eat at his pod and talk about Earth.
I just want to talk. I want to know about the Earth.
At first, she refused, but seeing how desperate Theodore was, and seeing his curiosity to know about the Earth, she finally gave in and started updating him about the Earth. Finally, he tells her his name, and she gets inside her pod, mocking him.
Do people still watch TV?
Yeah, they still watch TV.
During the day, while they're mining, Theodore tries to give her tips for surviving on this planet. He tells her about the voices on the planet that will get in your head if you're not careful. At last, he starts to loosen up and tells him her name.
I like to make up nonsensical poems. Keeps my mind busy.
Nia is having a hard time adapting to the planet and the shorter days. In the morning, Nia received an invitation letter from Theodore for dinner. He emphasizes that it is a friendly dinner and that he doesn't intend to have any romantic relations, as he is married.
Would you care to join me for dinner this evening in my habitat?
Nia wanted to know more about Theodore, so she asked her AI assistant, Janie, but it offered no help. It answers only surface questions and refuses to reveal anything about Theodore. Policies were strict, the past remained hidden.
What do we know about this guy's history?
I don't have access to specific information.
Nia finally decided to give him a shot, and came to Theodore's pod and sat at his table, cautious but curious. He served whiskey, and they started having a conversation. He tells her about the alien gas that lurks around and records your thoughts, placing them back to you, creating voices inside your head. Hayia thought he was going insane, but Theodore explained it was real.
No. I told you, it's...
Theodore broke the silence by asking about her journal. He had noticed the marks on its pages, the patterns of letters, unfamiliar to most, but not to him. The script was Oyan, the language of her people.
I was just wondering why it was an Oyen. Are they in charge there now or something?
His tone was steady, almost curious, as he mentioned it, but the weight of his words pressed into the air between them.
It's my first language, actually.
Hiya starts telling him about her story. She is biologically a human, but her mother, who found her and raised her, was Oyan. She grew up near the Black Sea, surrounded by Oyan songs and teachings. What she didn't mention was that soldiers came. They set fire to her world. Her mother was killed before her eyes. Her last act was to comfort her daughter. After that day, Nia wasn't her old self. Her hate for humanity grew by each day. Nia carried that memory like a wound. She joined a resistance and trained to strike back. Her mission was to assassinate the President of the United States, who had fueled the hatred against Oyans. She would have succeeded if not for betrayal. Alana, her companion and lover, gave her up. The plan collapsed. Nia was captured, sentenced, and cast out to this silent place. Theodore listened. He surprised her by speaking in Oyan, phrases of comfort, words of memory. He did not know how he had learned them. He only knew they lived inside him. Nia's eyes narrowed. How could he know her language? He said he did not remember. He offers her a drug that was prescribed to him for his back pain, and they continue talking about his wife.
Do you want some?
Why not?
He tells her about Mona, his wife. He tells her that he was accused of the murder of her colleague, a crime pinned on him. He said he was innocent, framed, and exiled without justice.
I was framed for murder, of course.
He remembered fragments, the Black Sea, a dog he once owned. His mind felt like a broken puzzle. He asks Nia about the woman who betrayed her. Nia turns down the question at first, but then mentions she was sentenced for terrorism. She attempted to behead the Prime Minister for doing the most cruel thing to her family and her kind, so she decided to assassinate him, but what she didn't know was that the girl who lured her in, whom she considered a friend, was an undercover cop.
So yeah, I thought he should die too.
Later that night, Theodore went outside. The gas cloud rolled across the plain and swallowed him. He came back wild-eyed, trembling, muttering words she did not understand. He said it had taken something from him, that it had shown him something else. Nia calmed him by telling him more about her life and watching TV with him. Mona's face filled the screen.
Emily, fine. Let's make the best
You like
of
the
it.
show?
Agreed. We can set up boundaries.
After they're done watching the TV, and in their moment of goodbye, he looked at Nia and spoke a name he had never spoken before. Nathan Flanagan. He tells her his name is not Theodore, but Nathan. Nia is confused, but utterly disturbed, because she knows that name from her past, specifically from the day her mother was killed.
I'm pretty sure it's Nathan Flanagan.
The name froze her blood. Memories surged back at once. He was the man behind her mother's death and the suffering of countless other Oyans. A butcher in every sense, he had learned their language only to twist it into a weapon, rallying forces and leading merciless attacks against her people. His cruelty had carved scars into her history, scars that would never fully heal. And now, of all places, Nia found herself trapped on the same prison planet with him. The thought settled over her like ice.
Flanagan! You gotta get out of here, man.
She asked Janie for confirmation. The AI gave none. It refused access due to the facility's security rules. Nia burned with rage. She wondered if the system had sent her here as a final cruelty, forcing her to live beside her enemy. She invited him into her pod for dinner.
I'd like to invite you over to my place tonight.
You would?
Yeah.
When he finally arrived, she started asking questions that felt like an interrogation. Theodore didn't notice at first, but when Nia became persistent with the questions, he showed his distaste for the topic.
I said I wasn't there.
She accused him of killing his wife's lover. She accused him of slaughtering Oyans. She said he was hiding behind false memories. Theodore stammered, denied, and looked lost. He fled the pod in fury. Meanwhile, the gas cloud drifted closer until it hovered at her door. It spoke using her mother's voice. The words it carried were laced with hate, cruel accusations that cut deeper because she believed they were Theodore's hidden thoughts. Nia grew angrier, and she stepped into the haze, desperate for answers. Theodore also had his fair share of delusions. He imagined his wife telling him to kill Nia because she would erase Mona for him.
You have to do this for us.
Just when they thought they were getting along better, this happens, and they're paranoid all over again. Hiya couldn't track him, so she went out to look for him at night, but he was behind her and attacked her. When she woke up, Theodore tried to explain himself, but she attacked him in return and fled to her pod. He followed her to her pod and tried to explain it's not true, but Nia grew angrier and started tormenting him to remember what he did to her family.
You had to learn those phrases to terrorize my people!
Their truce was shattered. He struck at her, desperate. They fought across the barren land until they stumbled into a derelict pod. Nia overpowered Theodore. She beat him and demanded the truth.
Say what you did to those women and children! Just fucking remember!
He confessed to Mona's murder in sobs and blood. Theodore's truth came in pieces. He had killed Mona. He had found her with another man. He had struck in rage and ended her life. That much was certain.
I killed Mona.
Fucking hell.
But of the Oyans, his memory faltered. He swore he did not recall such crimes. He said he did not remember and denied killing her people. Nia did not believe him. She left him broken in the dust. The walls were covered in words, scratched deep into the surface and painted over in frantic strokes. They told no clear story, only fragments of thoughts, desperate pleas, and names that repeated like an echo. Another prisoner had left them behind, a man who had slowly lost his mind within those same walls. In the end, he could no longer endure the whispers of the cloud that filled his head, and he took his own life to silence them. The next morning, she returned to the place where she had left him. To her relief, he was weak but still alive, clinging to a fragile thread of strength. Without hesitation, she lifted him and carried him back, step by step, until they reached his pod. There she laid him down gently, making sure he was secure. When Theodore finally whispered his thanks, his voice faint but sincere, she looked away. With a quiet firmness, she dismissed his gratitude. Later, she turned the fragile pages of her journals and read the words more carefully. The names stood out sharply, the only ones written in English, out of place among her other entries. A chill ran through her as she realized they were the same whispers the gas cloud had poured into her mind. They did not belong to Theodore at all. They belonged to the dead prisoner whose shadow had haunted her thoughts. Her certainty began to unravel, the ground beneath her convictions crumbling. She condemned an innocent man, punishing Theodore for sins that were never his.
Angry, vengeful little human. It hurts so much.
Nia goes to his pod and tells him that the sound they heard must be of the previous prisoner's thoughts. Theodore whispered that he heard a different voice, and Nia did too. They figured that it was all just the alien gases driving them against each other. The name Nathan got inside Theodore's head and confused him about his reality. Theodore slowly starts to remember things. He has never been to the Black Sea, and he learned some Oye-on phrases from his neighbor, not because he was there.
He taught me a few phrases.
Nia confesses with a heavy voice that she would have murdered the president if they hadn't stopped her, and that deep down she felt she deserved to be in this place. She carries the weight of guilt as if it were her own shadow, convinced that the world sees her for what she almost became.
I think I would have done it if they hadn't stopped me.
Theodore shakes his head, reminding her that this isn't true. He tells her that even when she believed he was the one who killed her mother and destroyed her people, she still couldn't bring herself to take his life. That moment, he explains, proved that she was not the murderer they painted her to be, but someone who chose restraint when hatred could have consumed her.
You wouldn't have done it. The beheading.
From his deathbed, Theodore spoke with what strength remained. He told Nia to give him her monitor so he could act as her. With it, the facility would be deceived, believing she was dead. In truth, she would be free. She would no longer be condemned to the mining fields, no longer bound by the rules of the colony. Without the monitor, she could slip past their systems, vanish into the wide unknown, and choose her own path. It was his final act, a gift of escape carved out of his last moments.
As if you don't exist. Case scenario, you won't have to work in that mine anymore.
Nia takes out her monitor, and Theodore inserts it into him. After a while, Theodore finally rests in peace with no regrets left. And as for Nia, it is the start of a new beginning. She steps outside, this time without an air mask, and feels the world as it truly is. The air touches her face freely, and for the first time in a long while, she does not hide or shield herself. There is no hesitation in her movement, only quiet strength. What lies ahead may be uncertain, but she chooses to face it openly, carrying with her the lessons of the past and the hope of what is to come. And with that, the movie ends. We hope you enjoyed our recap. Like the video and subscribe to our channel for more amazing recaps. See you in the next one.